of the people who have seen would have seen that we talk to some different companies to understand how they and their team and their company as a large and is what best practices they have been implemented, what fundamentally learn from them and apply to our own. I've got the pleasure of having Apurva join me on this. Why don't we start off with your introduction, words about Plate IQ? Please go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Shyam. First of all, I think this is the wonderful opportunity to, kind of learn and showcase the different things we are following across the industry. It's like a mutual give and take for all of us in terms of the kind of the practices and everything that has been taking place. So, giving a brief introduction about myself, I'm Apurva Rashmi. I'm currently working as an HR manager with Plate IQ, and I carry a work experience, almost close to 8+ years now. My main expertise lays in HR operations. So I have worked previously with the companies where merger has taken place. That includes a lot of operational change that has to come into picture. So this
Right.
is something about me. I'm really passionate about HR. I love interacting with people. I think it is a challenging thing to do because it is easier to work with machines compared to the human beings, because you never know how people are going to react to you. You need to have that level of
Absolutely.
patience and everything. Yes, so it's kind of a roller coaster moment at the times, but yeah, I basically like this. So speaking
Yeah.
about Plate IQ, the company which I'm working with right now, so we are mainly into software which looks into the invoice management. So basically, we serve the US clients. We have teams that are distributed across the globe, basically like majorly in US and in India. So here in India, we are close to like 40 plus members right now, and we are like having hiring that is going on at a full stretch. So this is something about the company, and we are a company who have been like remote friendly pre-COVID also, and yeah, with the COVID there were like so many changes. And this is a little bit intro about the company and myself, Sham.
Great talking to you, Apurva. Yeah, I mean, you've got to be a HR person and that you've sustained for 8 years. You don't have an accident, right? You're here with a purpose, with interest, sustained for so long, right? So,
Yeah.
to this of what we wanted to talk about today, right? Has also been little over close to a year that Go has been working with Plate. We've seen bits and pieces. Get inner sanctum sanctum of what went through the minds of people like you, what went through the minds of your formulating your remote work today. Before we go there, can you kind of give a peek at Plate IQ, right? I mean, what do you uh, prioritize, right? And what do you emphasize in your company with that? Because I think fundamentally, remote any or does not work, or for the matter, any policy working or the other to do with the culture of the company, right? Why don't you start off with that?
Yes. Okay. So basically, I kind of come from a belief that if a person is happy inside the work organization, like the work culture, definitely the productivity is something that is going to increase. And whenever any people are, employees are getting onboarded over here, my first interaction with them, this is what I tell them. You know, we are going to make sure like whatever the things that can make your life easier in Plate IQ, that is what we'll do. So coming to like the culture and everything, we have seen like people list either it has to be like either go to office, or sometimes it is hybrid, or sometimes it is completely remote. But here at Plate IQ, we have given options to our employees, like you can choose whichever the work setup you want to have in picture. Like let's say if your employees are happy working from home, you can go ahead. If someone says me like, hey Apurva, I want to go to office once in a while, I cannot like function all the time at my home. Or let's say if there is a family function going on at your place and you are super occupied and there is some deliverables that is there, and they say like, hey, I want to go to office, we support that also. And if anyone comes to me and tell me like, Apurva, no, I want to go to office full time, I don't want to work from home at all, we support that option as well. So basically we give an
Right.
option to employees in the very beginning, like which one do you want to choose. Okay, if they're choosing work from home, we'll try to kind of support them in terms of setting up their home office and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So what I have seen till now, Isha, I'm like most of the people do prefer to work from home, and they do like to meet up once in a while. So we are
Right.
just sticking to that. So I think that is when we actually came in touch with GoFloaters, because we had people who wanted to meet once in a while. So it is like working amazingly for us. So this is a
Right.
kind of culture that is in terms of how we are setting it up. We try to give all these things in the very beginning we kind of explain it to everyone. We kind of try to keep the all the policies and everything as transparent as possible, so that what you see is what you get here. So it shouldn't be like I tell all the fancy things and later the people come here and employees are like, hey, you said all these things in the interview and during onboarding, and it is not there. That shouldn't be something. So that is a policy we follow over here.
Right. Awesome. And difficult, right, to give that. You said that Play IQ has been remembered for the pandemic. It was not that switched gears to
Yeah.
from prior org, right, has this flexibility, individuals being able to choose, not teams, but individuals. You kind of, it's almost like you've got people have preferences and
Yeah.
to do. And second part of the and how has it period of time, because a lot of us were without any choice remote during the pandemic, right? And after that, right? You would have had people join you from other who were not remote before, right? So through the last year and a half, do you think has the preferences for people changed? Right? Are more people wanting to be at an office, or more people want to be at home and working from home most of the time? How has that changed? Could you kind of throw some light on that?
Okay. So touching the first part of your question, so if you just speak about how the remote work policy has been, I think most of the people do work really well in the remote culture. This is something I have seen. The productivity increases. It also gives chance to the people to stay back in their native, keep on doing the good work, as well
Right.
as be close to their family. This is something you don't get if going to office every day has been enforced, where people have to leave their all their loved ones behind and come. So
Right.
in this case the productivity did increase, and one of the things we used to make sure that people have good internet facilities and the good things to work with. This is something we used to tell them, like if you're opting for remote work culture, you have to make sure these facilities are good, so that your performance is not going to come down, right? So these are the one thing that was there. I think initially when the things were implemented, everyone were happy because there was no traveling, anything was involved. But gradually, transitioning to your second question, so um, I think over a period of time people did realize that having that human touch is also like very important,
Mm-hmm.
because working behind the screens and not knowing your teammates. Sometimes what happens is whenever we have any Zoom calls or any video calls, people can turn on their switch on their cameras, or they can just keep it just like that. So what happens is we'll not even be knowing who are our co-workers, how do they look. So when you meet people in person, there is a whole entire dynamic that changes. So this is something I've seen, and is in terms of team bonding and everything, it did happen a lot when people started coming to office, once in a while whenever the meetups were happening. And this
Right.
kind of changed how things work over here. This is something I can tell about this, Shan.
So I think the one important point that you said is that productivity and work, right? Those two aspects of deliverables that people had to do was, I mean, there was no impact to that by when people were remote, right? People were delivering, people were bringing their best
Yes.
productivity forward, or they're delivering, they were, what is it, the outcomes were being met both at the team level and individual level. But the personal connect was the reason why you wanted to look for a solution like Opera. I would love to kind of emphasize on that, because today, specifically when there are a lot of naysayers, a lot of companies flipping back on remote work, right? Productivity is one of the things they say, hey, initially the productivity was high, but then the productivity has taken a nosedive, right? But you're saying that productivity has stayed the same, right? People have been
Yes.
contributing to the same extent, irrespective of where they work, right? Now, coming to the personal connect that you're talking about, it's a very fluffy word, right? Personal. What does personal connect mean, right? If you could take a minute to elaborate how the personal connects, having the personal connect. So, for example, if let's say you met with your colleague, right, and you not meeting that colleague and still working remotely, right? How does the personal connect change the equation of uh, two people working together in Playtech, right? What does it actually transpire to, right?
Okay.
What things happen at work?
Okay, so I'll just give you an example like how this thing did work out for us. So first time when we decided to meet after the COVID was during 20 November 2022, I guess. Okay, that was the first meetup when we
Hmm.
had. I think it was through the GoFloaters we had kind of went through, and then we thought like we need to have a larger event in picture wherein people across India they can just come and we can have all the interviews and everything going on. Hello, Sham, you can hear
No,
me?
no. Yeah. You're audible. Yes, go ahead.
So we had this entire thing wherein we had all the employees from different part of India come in, meet up in Bangalore. So what had happened is I had not seen, they had not seen me, and we had booked a bigger space inside the WeWork in Church Street, and I was just literally standing, and there were people passing very next to me, and I'm like, hey, this is some strange. Okay. And they're like, hey, do you know where is this cabin number? So and so. And I'm like, okay, so who are you? Then, at least since I had my DP, few people could recognize me. And others, when I was just looking at them, it was like plain blank. I couldn't
Right,
recognize, like, maybe we're just passing in the streets or something. I would never recognize, like, this is the same person I've been working with.
right,
So that changed the entire dynamics, I guess. Like, the good 2 3 days we worked and we had the team interactions together. That kind of, the people whom we thought like, they are introverts, they won't speak at all. So, when you speak to them, when you connect to them on a personal level, like what are their interests,
right,
maybe just having lunch together, where you learn so many things about the people, their culture, and you can connect to them at one particular level, like, okay, this is where even I had stayed, so how was it? So I think like
right,
after all this things, what has happened is people can speak to others more freely, and they know that how this person might react.
right,
And post that, we are having meetups in Bangalore like every month, and we have people coming in, and the kind of the dynamics that has changed over a period. Now we have like we do go to our colleagues functions at home. It has come to that level, like we
okay.
start treating our co-workers as a family. I
Family,
think that is
okay.
a big transition and big, and it is a proud moment for anyone inside the organization. Like you can just be a part of their life. So I think that is something that is important, Sham.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think so. I think the point, the personal, the in-person understanding of the other person has made a lot of more well-oiled, right? So when you go back remote mode and when you talk to them, even
Yes.
you're chatting and it's messages, but you're able to put a face to that. You're able to put
Yes.
intent to the message. You're able to. There may be actual text, but then you're able to call that person have reacted that way, right?
That is
That
true.
better, empathize better. Also,
Yeah.
that point. It's kind of a subtle behavior. Sometimes you get to overlook that, right? Where the humans start to
And I
become
think it
machines.
basically, yeah. So Sham, what happens is like, when these interactions happen, the main outcome is that, the kind of the barriers we have put to ourselves, like what happens if I ask this person, okay, how he or she might react
Correct.
or how he or she might perceive, or we have like people at different grades over here, like
Right.
managers, engineering managers are there, you have HR, you have other people inside the organization, the people from other teams with whom you have never interacted,
Right.
right? So when you speak to them, meet to them in person, you don't feel hesitated to like call them or talk to them whenever there is any work related or anything else
Mm.
related to which you want the information, it is easier for you to just ping them.
Right.
Or else you'll not be knowing like, okay, what happens? Should I, the time we take in contemplating whether we should ask someone has something for help, especially when it is needed. I think that barrier is gone, and that is something everyone should look for. You should feel comfortable working
Yeah,
with
I
the
think
people you are
I think
around. Then
that happens when you meet in person. You feel and bringing up questions. I think that really leads to the be more transparent. Right? So you're able to tell, hey, I didn't like, or this should be done this way. This should be done better way. Right? So you're more comfortable doing that. So I'm switching gears now, Apurva. Right? So now we've covered bits uh, how you uh, so you said productivity is not a challenge. You're not or events for productivity or collaboration and promote. People are doing that. Now coming to these in-person events and meetups, you already said that once a month you're doing Bangalore, right? But I also
yeah,
know that the cities they are in smaller groups to kind of working spaces, meet each other, people in the same city.
yeah.
So, is there a structure that you put to this apart from this one month? Is there any other structure that you put in terms of people coming to a physical space to be with each other, or the team members decide how to state that?
So as I said you earlier, Sham, like we give all the liberty to our employees
Yeah,
over here to choose whatever they want. So since we have taken this GoFloaters ka thing, we have given access to everyone. Okay, so if they feel like I think like recently I had one of the conversation with one of our employees, and he, they kind of said that they have met this person in the different part of the city where they had just been for trip.
right,
So this is happening like every now and then, and as an HR I don't want to monitor it. So I feel like you have the access, you have the credits with you, you feel free to work, you go ahead and do that.
right,
There is no need for you to come back, take permission and do that.
got it.
So this is not like a very structured way, but yes, like we make sure that every once in a month we meet up. This is also optional to
This
people.
is all
So we have people traveling from other states. Let's say they're in Bangalore, definitely they'll drop by. So this is not a very structured thing we have put like, hey, you people from this city, just meet up. I think then it will be like, contradicting to a whole point of telling you like, hey, you guys choose which work setup you want to work
true,
from.
true.
So
So, and then coming to so this, I think since you were pandemic also remote and for timers of playtime. In fact, I believe you yourself joined post the pandemic. I think somewhere after that time,
yes,
right? So,
yes.
so I would love to touch upon onboarding, new hire onboarding, whether it's an entry level or a senior position or a middle manager. For somebody who's been part of playtime, who's been part of a remote organization, it's kind of it would have been an easy for COVID wouldn't have been like a sudden jerk moment, right? But then today, how onboarding, what new approaches are you taking? I mean, me personally, when we were on a call, so I would love you to kind of explain. I found a lot of that interesting and very thoughtful, right? In terms of how you do onboarding
Okay.
for your new. So, what on that?
Okay. So, Shab, like one of the important thing we see here right now in the like which is a very common issue that has been found to the HRs and the hiring managers is that we release lot many offers, and when the day of joining comes, people don't turn up. So how are we going to avoid is one of the major question we had, especially during this remote setup, wherein
Right,
you don't like earlier it used to be like in person interview. They used to come to office. You can look at the person, kind of gauge something. But now it is video call. People can just drop you an email or just ping you on your WhatsApp saying that hey, I'm not joining. So this
right,
was kind of a challenge which I had with my previous organization, and from there onwards I thought like if we are going to go ahead like this, definitely we are going to have a lot many problems.
mm-hmm.
So my approach is that your work as a recruiter will not stop the moment you release an offer letter. Your work actually starts from there. Your onboarding work, process should start right from you release an offer letter. What I'll do is like I'll try to set up multiple calls with the teammates, the person is going to work with. Because let's say I'm bringing in a technical guy, I'm not so like technically sound. So if they ask me any questions, like as a HR, I'll be like in touch with them. But if they ask me any tech related questions, definitely I'll not be able to like answer them in a way they will be expecting.
Right.
So connecting them with the teammates, they know that okay, this is the kind of environment I'm going to get, and they know people before they could come into the organization. And it also gives enough opportunity for the person to understand: is it a right kind of a culture? Is it a right kind of a place?
Mhm.
Is it what exactly I'm looking for? Because
Right.
everything is good in the interview process,
Right.
right? But after the interview process, what happens? So this period has actually helped us in having many more converts. So I think that personal bonding, like at least the person knowing the organization, needs to start right from the stage. Nevertheless, we maintain a very nice interview process over here. That is one thing. So people are impressed by the process, but when they speak to them as a teammates, their prospective teammates, then the dynamic changes. And
So this
by the
this
time they come to the organization,
please go ahead, continue.
by the time they come to the organization, they kind of know everyone by name, like at least
Right.
their teammates. So it makes the process easier. Yes.
So this is so refreshing to hear. Right? One is that, like you said, right, on the day you're already assuming that they are part of your team, right? So they're already
Yes.
part of the onboarding starts then, right? It's not join. They are given the free will to talk to anyone. In fact, anecdotally, there's one company and a call was arranged.
Yes.
All right. So it's the kind of how do you're giving to somebody who's joining you, because for every like I remember my days of my cognizant, right? I mean, it was like an overwhelming experience, right? The day you walk in, who your manager is going to be,
Yes.
which team you're going to work on, you actually don't know which building, right? Everything is like there are a lot
Yes.
of questions comfortable as they join, and getting to know the job, getting to know the team that they're going to work with is so refreshing to hear. You've started to do that and evidences of how some of these new hires given on this new onboarding process been implemented.
I think like the day of our onboarding also, like as I told you, like they know whom they are going to work with, and things are like kind of familiar to them. They
Right.
don't feel like they're strangers to the organization. At least they know, like in case if there is any doubt, whom they have to approach.
Right.
And also on the day of onboarding, what we'll do is I'll have a formal induction with the employees, just to make them understand, like, hey, this is the access I have given, couple of accesses you have got from mine.
Mhm.
What does it mean? Where exactly you need to reach out to if there is anything. Okay, that is kind of a onboarding, formal onboarding we give. And in the evening we'll have a session wherein we'll introduce our employees, new joiners, to the entire team. So
Okay.
this is kind of a like we don't have this very formal approach over
Mhm.
here. We definitely speak about anything under the sun over here.
Right.
New joiners will be bombarded with the question, and they are given a chance to ask us question. And I think this particular session I had, many people did come back to me and they said that this is not something we had in a previous organization, and it's really kind of shows us the vibe of the people who are here, and makes us very much invited inside the organization. You don't treat us as someone who has come new with or anything, but it's like you're making us a part of the team.
Right.
So when these conversations, what happens is like people may have different kind of interest, they connect at that level. So it's like whatever they say about themselves, there is going to be a lot more question and answer kind of session. So that is how we do it here at Plate IQ.
Awesome. And then one topic that I want to touch upon, right, is that uh, uh, a lot of companies that I get to talk to, right, just
Hmm.
prospect we talk, uh, inter-team communication and collaboration is a big challenge. I mean, it continues to be a challenge. I don't think so you can brush it under the carpet, right? And I know that in a remote organization, you do a lot of communication sync, and then right. So you share some best practices in terms of communication and Slack as your communication channel, internal tool for communication, right? So any best practices
Yeah.
you could share in terms of uh, intra-team, inter-team communication, how do you cross pollinate one team to another team, anything that we can all learn from.
Okay. So first thing, like I think this is basic, like most of the organization do have. We make sure that there are like a number of channels wherein people do, have open communication rather than just communicating like in person. We make sure like any issues are there, they post it on the team so
Right,
that there is lot many inputs comes for the same solution, and people know what exactly others are working on. This is something we do normally on Slack. And second thing is that in order to improve this, we have every Thursdays we have the HR, not HR, it's like the office virtual meetups that happens, where it is like 1 hour of pure joy and nothing else. Just anyone, it is not compulsory. People who are free and willing to join, they can join. And we have number of people like increasing every now and then, like the kind of the games and everything. We have a dedicated person, Ria, who kinds of does an amazing job in bringing in all the new games and everything, and we play over there. So here what happens is more than games is like the funny banter that takes place between the people, and everyone knows like, okay, this is what he or she is good at and everything. And moving one step further, what we have done is like as per, and one more thing at Plate IQ is it's not the HR's job to make sure that all these activities are conducted. So
right,
we have amazing bunch of non-tech all
yes,
people. They come up with the ideas. They come up with the ideas and they just tell me like, hey Purva, this is something we want to do. We have seen this been happening. And I'm
right,
like, okay, fine, I'm all yours. You tell me how to. And this is how we have something called a Tech Talk here in Plata here, which takes place every month,
right,
wherein, as I said, intra team, like every team doesn't know what exactly the other team is doing.
right,
So one person from the team will give me, entire session for 1 hour regarding their topic, how it is being done and everything. Definitely questions are asked,
hmm,
solutions are given, everything is documented. We make sure like all these calls are recorded and it is stored so
right,
that let's say newcomer is coming, they can just go and just
right,
go through everything.
right, right,
So this is how the things are going on. And yeah, we try to like this is one thing we make sure that have communication inside the organization as much as possible,
right,
because if you're sitting in one corner of the country and if you're worrying about things, nobody will get to know unless you speak.
right,
So we try to make sure that communication channel is as open as possible,
right.
Sham.
So just to summarize again, it's not an individual thing. You put team, so everybody in the team is aware.
Yes.
It address to the team individual. So
Yes.
that's one good word. You talk games played virtually. People come together, and that time is for fun activities, and
Yes.
a lot of friction gets diluted, greased up.
Yes.
And thirdly, you said that every team here to talk about what they are doing, and what they're
Yes.
doing, and address the rest of the teams and talk about tech related to something or to be something else. So, but we're sharing
Yes.
that is platform that is given for everybody to kind of talk about what they do. So that way, like every team is able to appreciate what the other teams in the company are doing. So that's all. If you want to
Yes.
kind of summarize, right? So, and then I want to kind of move on to the penalty picks that I want to kind of talk to you, right? So we spoke about so, and again, I'm trying to what people, other people who too scared to approach remote work the way you approached it, right? I mean, like we already have covered some of them, right? But one accusation, right? Remote companies cannot be innovative, right? Is another one of the like. In fact, I mean, who should we refer to? Right? Elon Musk, Sam Altman, all the leaders of the tech industry that many of us adore, right? They say that hey, remote companies can never be innovative, right? You have to be in the office all the time for innovation to happen, right? What do you have to say for that? And examples of how
Okay.
IQ has defied the laws of Elon Musk.
Okay, that's a big question you have thrown at my end, but let me answer it in a way I feel like it might be much. So I feel like individuals work in a way they want to work, nevertheless, whether they're in office or whether they're in a remote setup. So it totally depends upon how much freedom the company is giving to them, how much they can grow inside the company, and how toxic free the work culture is going to be.
Right, right,
Okay, let's say you're coming to office from morning 9 till 5, you're working, and you have a very bad culture inside the organization. You will be like, your performance is never going to be like up to the mark.
right,
Just telling that, employees productivity improves just by coming to the office, this is something I totally don't agree with.
right.
So I believe like giving freedom to the employees to do the things they want in a much better way, that will help. Being that said, I don't tell that there is remote work is like absolutely you know problem free or something like that.
Right.
Definitely, we do encounter situations where we feel like, hey, the performance of the person might be going a little low. So, here, what we take an approach is instead of just putting a blame on the entire remote work culture, we speak to that person.
Mm-hmm.
What we'll do is we'll get on a call, speak to them, like, hey, see, you were amazing in the beginning. What is happening? What is the glitch? Do you think like we should meet you in person and maybe things can be sorted out, or what is the thing? So that time what happens is we feel like especially the people who might have joined us, communication might be a little barrier.
Mm-hmm.
So then what we'll do is we'll try to connect them more often, try to understand,
Right,
and the performance improves,
right,
right?
right,
So it's not just that, maybe sometimes it's family issues, maybe it's sometimes different issues.
right.
I don't think like place where the working firm is not at all going to affect the productivity of the company till the people are treated right way inside the company.
I think you've kind of said that with so much aplomb, right? That as long as you do the basics correctly, right, of keeping the culture
Yeah.
correct and all these problems can be addressed, right? I mean, you don't have to blame remote work for everything, right? You can address these small problems in the
Yeah.
future, right? So, and again, I kind of
Yeah.
forgot to ask this question, right? I mean, this
Mhm.
is more of an onboarding slash interview question, right? So, how do you see the culture fit, right? I mean, you've got a culture at Late IQ, right? And you have this remote work philosophy or flexible work philosophy, and people who are appearing, I mean, who are I mean, coming to apply for your jobs may not be from your mindset. Um, rounds of, hey, this person is going to survive, setup. They're not going to come and poison the environment. Somebody coming in and leaving spoil the soup, right? So how do you ensure that?
Okay, Shan, like kind of answering this question tactically is that you never know the candidates till they join you. People can be like very good till they join you. Only later you'll understand like what kind of a person when you actually start working with them.
Right, right.
Sometimes yes, we make sure that we kind of give them an overview like, hey, this is the kind of a culture we have in the very first round, where the hiring manager takes a call. HR
Mm-hmm,
takes a call initially to kind of assess them. Then when hiring manager kind of gets on a call, that is the initial call we have. So they'll try to explain like what is the kind of the work setup we have, what is the culture we have, and is this the same thing you're looking for?
mm-hmm.
We try to understand it from employees perspective, I mean candidates perspective, not just regarding whether they are right fit for a job. Are they right fit for this organization? We have so
Right.
and so and so and so. Are you fine with it? We have a team in US. Sometimes you need to be like little bit accommodative to their timelines, not
Mm-hmm,
every day. Maybe once in a while you may have late night calls, maybe at 10 p.m. Are you fine
mm-hmm,
with that?
mm-hmm.
And what is your understanding regarding flexibility? And all these points are few things we see. And post evaluation from the hiring manager, once they say that, hey, I think this person might be a right fit for my particular team, then we'll move ahead with the candidate. And we also give them ample number of opportunity for the candidate to think whether this is the right place. And in case if a candidate says, come back and says to me like, hey Purva, I don't think this organization might be a right fit for me, I'll be like very happy to I'll try to make them understand their perspective, and if they say like, no, this is not at all a place for me, then I'll happily let go of them.
Sure, sure. I think that's a very practical approach to kind of ensuring that you get the right people in, right? I mean, is to kind of put out, hey, this is what I am, right? You like me the way I am, right? You like Plate IQ the way we
Yes.
are, right? And then if they like it, then give them the choice to not continue the process of onboarding from there. And then the last question before we end is that, uh, I mean, this period specifically after the turn of 2023, right? There's been a lot of confusion around remote work. A lot of companies that said that they're going to be remote have gone back. right? We see a lot of attrition, specifically in the startup world. There's a lot of that happening, and that is also making people flip back to the hey, in
Mhm.
confused times. Then they go back to switch back to what has worked before, which is that they've been in an office, right? At a personal, as Apurva, right? Not necessarily. I don't want to endorse. I don't want this to be an endorsement of Plate IQ's views, right? But as Apurva,
Okay.
uh, what is what do you've got to say? Why do you think companies are uh, not sustaining the efforts to implement and sustain remote work, right? And why are companies uh, getting scared away, right? What do you think? What do you think why that's happening? From, I mean, I don't want to name names, right? From the bellwethers of the IT industry in India to startups, right? You see
Mhm.
unicorns. You see a lot of them kind of reversing their decision on providing flexible work options to their employees. Right? What do you think? What I mean, again, it's a personal view, so I don't want you to take the pressure of saying this from Plate IQ's perspective. But at a personal level, what do you think is the reason? What could be the primary reasons for this flipping back?
Okay. So I think there are number of factors which might affect it. First thing is maybe setting up a wrong expectations. Let's say a company was completely like going to office pre-COVID. So the kind of the communication chain, the kind of how they used to get the work done would have been like completely different from how the things changed during the pandemic time.
Right, right.
And for them, when they kind of gauge both the things, they might feel like going to remote might be beneficial or may not be beneficial.
Hmm.
So if they're taking a call on that, then that is completely like maybe based on the performance and everything.
Right,
And if we just speak about those companies which started as remote and then wanted to go back to office or hybrid, so I would like to tell, like maybe the kind of the expectations that has been set. There is always a preconceived notion, like hey, people might be doing, if the people are working from home, they may not be working all the
all the
time.
time. Yeah,
Okay. There are companies who can, like there are sometimes people do monitor their work, like how many times people are sitting in front of the monitor and everything. But I personally feel like, if a person is kind of dedicated towards his or her work, and end of the day, if you're just looking at the performance and not looking into the number of hours they're just simply sitting in front of the system, and you're getting the desired, performance, then remote should also work for you.
right,
And if you're looking from the perspective that, hey, performance is good and everything, but people are leaving just because there is no personal connectivity, then I think the company is going hybrid. It also makes sense, like at least once or twice in a day. And it also depends upon the type of the operations,
mm,
Shan.
right,
Because see, you are in, like in a company I'm been working with, we are basically HR, engineering, ops, like few of the ops folks, and now we have a product team that has been building up, right? If it was marketing and sales department, maybe we might have thought like, will it be like more beneficial going to office and working, or is it fine working? I think this is where the companies need to be a little flexible, understanding like right now this is working for us, and we continuously keep on, we should keep on evolving, like depending upon how the scenarios is going to
right,
come.
right.
If you don't change as per the changes that is coming, then you're going to lose the game. So this is my understanding, so you need to be flexible.
Super, super. I think that's kind of summed up the whole theme of this conversation, right? Is to being is to kind of take I mean, make the choice available, but then constantly keep evolving as the demands of the business and demands of your teams. In fact, you said that initially you gave the option to everybody who joins. What is your option? Do you want to
Yes.
work here? So, being listening to your employees and what they want from it, what challenges you're facing, and constantly tweaking your approaches, kind of is what I think came across throughout the conversation, right? So, Apurva, this has been great learning for me personally because we are a remote team as well. So I think I've got a few uh, action items written down for me to go ahead and see if we can implement at GoFloaters. And some of the, in fact, I found your onboarding process very refreshing. The process of having knowledge sharing sessions within the team, anybody can come up and talk is another refreshing thought that you had. You talked about your monthly meetups, the personal connection, and again, I think what's very interesting is like you said that hey, we are not the meetups are not for any specific business outcome, right? We're not trying to accomplish something, right? It's just that we want people to be comfortable working with each other, knowing each other, right? So it's kind of how do I say, right? It's a soft, it's a very soft purpose for which you're spending money, you're spending time, everybody's commuting and coming in and all that, without having the expectation this is going to lead us to something. It's a belief that
Yes.
by being close to each other emotionally, physically, you're able to solve for many of the problems that come down. Right? It's a thought that doesn't. It's not a very rational thought, right? You can't justify that. Hey, we spent those so much, we got this much as an outcome,
Yeah.
right? You can't kind of rationalize that. But and that's what HRs do, right? HR, it's a people quotient that adds to the business, right? You can't measure everything objectively there, right? So I think those were very important, interesting things for me to, digest from this conversation. And also, as always, conversing with you, you get to learn a few things from you. And like you said, calm, composed, well thought out answer, thoughtful answers. So thanks for that. Thanks for giving us a peek into how your mind works and how Plate IQ works, and how things has been. And it's been an amazing association for GoFloaters. Me and my team are grateful to the association that we've had, and the learnings that we've had through that. So, and we wish that the association kind of continues into the future as well for as long as it can. And thank you for your thoughts and your time. And as always, your interesting pearls of wisdom whenever we get to talk to each other.
Yeah, thanks for all the kind words, Shan. So, yeah, it's been like, an amazing journey here at Plate IQ, and also being associated with you, it had been an amazing help for us, because as and when we want, we can book the spaces across India, because we have team which is, scattered everywhere.
Right,
So they can just book out the places, and we have employees who kind of travel and work. So when they're in the different cities, they make use of this GoFloaters.
right,
And yeah, thank you for that particular platform. I think it has helped us and kind of made our remote working more easier. Because people, if I'm giving them all the options, I can say like, hey, see, it is there in the city also. You can make use of it.
right, right.
GoFloaters. So I think
Absolutely,
this is a good way of, like, as I said, changing, evolving. When the things are changing, we have to keep changing. So that's a
absolutely.
great platform. And thanks for this opportunity, Shan. So yeah,
A
I
pleasure
hope
has
like
been
it.
mine. Thanks for the time again, Apurva. Yeah, like I said, we keep evolving. We are evolving as we work with companies. So it's a you can never say that you solved for it, right? I mean, the solutioning, right? It's a present continuous tense. You keep solutioning for this because newer challenges emerge with different capacity of time, right? So yeah, thanks for the opportunity to learn along with you, all of you as well. Great.
Yeah, yeah.
Pleasure,
Thanks,
great.
Shan.
Thank you. Pleasure, Purvan, and pleasure talking to you. And thanks for the time. Again, looking forward to more sessions with you because I think we have just scratched the surface of, what you've all done. So I think I look forward to another conversation also like this. Similar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Thanks,
Thank you.
Shan.
Take care. Bye bye. Have a good evening.